What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I am back to review Growing Up Hip Hop LA. This is season 6, episode 5. Let's go ahead and get into it. So we start the episode off with TT and who was it? Cree, Vanessa, and Denise all hanging out at TT's place. And first of all, baby girl knocked the drinks over. She brings more drinks, but doesn't get a broom or anything to pick up the glass that she knocked over. I'm like, okay, TT. And like Vanessa said, maybe it's mommy brain or something, because the average person would have tried to pick up the glass. But anyways, they're basically having this conversation about how TT is so stressed out because she has all this stuff to do. However, her man is not in the same city as her. He's back in Jamaica because that's where he works. But she has the baby. She's also supposed to be planning this wedding. And she's stressed out. Now, I don't know if Cree self-appointed herself to start planning TT's wedding or what. But baby girl, she's quick with the little booklets and pamphlets of all the things that she could do for your wedding or for any of your events. So she ends up showing TT some options of, what she could possibly do for her wedding in Jamaica. So now TT is like, oh, great. Now I kind of have someone to help me plan. But I'm just wondering, did Cree make this a self-appointed thing? Or did TT ask her to do this? Because, it's dope if Cree just took the initiative, but I just wonder. Now, at one point, though, they did talk about Twist and how, if it was up to Cree, he probably wouldn't have been there. And if he was to show up to TT's wedding with the pajamas that he had on, if Cree has anything to do with it, the man won't make it through the door. But everybody who's there is like, that's just Twist. That's how he is. Now, I will say this. Cree coming in as a new person on the show, yeah, of course, she doesn't know how Twist is and his personality. But I do think that there is something to say about Twist just showing up to an anniversary party, which we already knew that's what it was. It's some pajamas and some house slippers. Like, dude, this was supposed to be something that's kind of fancy. Because I'm pretty sure if your bestie Justin Bieber was to say, hey, I'm having this nice event for me and my wife, you probably wouldn't have showed up in pajamas like that. Just saying. Also, at some point, somebody asked her about Pep in Egypt, and I'm like, could we stop doing this? I really want the castmates to stop asking Egypt about TT. Well, actually, they don't even do that. She just keeps blabbing about TT. But I'm really tired of everybody asking TT about Egypt and Pep. Like, just leave the situation alone. Y'all already know they don't mess with each other like that. All right, let's move on over to Egypt. Now, this girl is out here in the mirror. Now, she does straighten her hair out, and she grabs the clippers, and she cuts her hair. Oh, why did she cut her hair? Because now she wants to prove that she's grown. Girl, aren't you like 25 now? Ain't nobody thinking that you're a child. We just think that you're childish. Your mind has not fully developed as an adult's would. That's what we are saying about you. Her cutting her hair, I'm like, she looks good with the haircut, but at the same time, it's like it didn't prove anything. It's just you with the haircut. And then after we have to hear her talk about her haircut, we get a follow-up of Sam trying to sing his shoulda, coulda, wouldas into the microphone. I said, oh no, y'all are about to stop playing in my face. Last week we got Egypt. This week we got Sam. Where is the talent on this show? So he's in the studio. He's singing. And as we already know, Egypt is there because whenever one of them is in the studio, the other one is there as well. But who happens to show up? Savannah. First of all, Savannah didn't even realize that Sam was up in there in the studio. Secondly, he is like, how does it sound out there? The only person who said that it was sounding good was Egypt, because Savannah ain't said nothing about that man music. So we already know why Savannah is there. And she's here so that way she can invite Egypt to perform at JoJo and Cree's little performance thing they have coming up. Their showcase. So before she can even, really get into the invitation for her to perform, we have a conversation about, JoJo and Denise had an anniversary party that Cree put together because, she was the event planner. And then she has to go down the list of everybody who's there. And, of course, she says TT. And I was kind of surprised that Egypt even said, like, oh, we weren't invited. Like, y'all don't mess with JoJo like that, so why would he invite y'all? Well, I mean, he like you, but he's not inviting Sam anywhere. So, one thing that I noticed in this scene is that when Savannah said TT is, what's his name? Sean's name? Egypt had a little attitude. She's like, she was probably surprised that Sean was around. And I'm just like, all right, here we go. I feel like she's going to say something about TT. And of course I was right. That happens later. So Savannah finally tells her about this showcase and how JoJo wants her to perform. So Egypt, she questions why he just didn't ask himself. And Savannah sat up there and was like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, because you volunteered. Did you forget that you were like, I'll tell her, because you just wanted to be in the mix? Like, girl, sit down somewhere. So Egypt is like, well, I need to talk to Sam about this to get his opinion. So that's when Vanna is like, well, Sam ain't really invited. You can do your thing, but he can't come. So this is when Egypt decides to say, well, I don't mess with you if you don't mess with us. But, she drops the F-bombs in there. And I'm just like, okay, now you got your little haircut. You riding rough and tough for Sam? Okay, girl. Because after that, baby girl was over here going on and on about how Sam is this, Sam is that, Sam is a producer, Sam is an astronaut, Sam is a doctor, Sam does this, Sam has the cure for cancer. I said, girl, the way you be hyping your man up, woo! Like, to me, that is all she does is hype him up. She makes it seem like Sam has done no wrong in his life. Sam is the most amazing man in the world. And I'm like, girl, y'all are still living off of your mother. I'm pretty sure she paid for all this studio time. And also, where are his kids? Because though he got like 2 or 3 kids, how is he in Vegas? Where he spending time with them? And I forgot to mention, in the middle of this rant, she said, because we're J and B. Now, excuse me, Jay-Z and Beyonce? Beyonce? Bye. Because after she said that, she said, and people act like we're not. Because you're delusional. So, after this, rant that baby girl just went on, we have Sam chiming in. Is like, well, JoJo, he's been saying he's going to do something for 3 years and he hasn't done anything, blah blah blah. And then here goes Egypt, yup. So I'm just like, so whatever Sam says, you're just gonna go with it, because honestly there's no reason for Egypt to really shit on JoJo. Like, yeah, him and Sam got into it, but he's never done anything to you. Calm down. And Vanna, she's like really trying to get Egypt to see the bigger picture here. And she's like, okay, well, maybe he didn't have the resources then. He has them now. So, what's wrong with, doing this showcase? And Sam is over here trying to take all the credit for Egypt's existence. And Egypt is just letting him. And did y'all catch when Sam was trying to be all shady, talking about, and what's the record label again? And they're like, it's Slip and Slide. So Vanna's like, they have Plies, Trina, Trick Daddy, Rick Ross, all these people. So because those are actual big name people, Sam couldn't try to shit on it like he wanted to. Y'all saw that. So Egypt is like, oh, well, yeah, I guess it is a big deal. Oh, why she say that? Because now Sam is ranting about how he doesn't need a label. He doesn't need this. He does everything on his own. And it's like, nobody is inviting you. Are you missing that point? You're not invited. So at this point, they want to know what else is going on. And Savannah is like, oh, I met TT. Oh, how was that? And she's like, I found out that her wedding is going to be in Jamaica. Why she say that, y'all? Because here goes baby girl Egypt talking about some, oh yeah, because she stole this idea from me. And I'm just like, would you stop whining about that? Considering y'all are both from Jamaica, like y'all families are from there. Chill out, girl. So she ends up going on and on, though, about how, she's never done TT wrong, but TT has done her so wrong because she had everybody thinking that she's this naive little girl. And I'm like, yeah, you still are. She didn't lie. So she continues to be like, I know so much stuff about her, but I never said anything. And of course, what she do? She has to let it out the bag that she knows some dirt on TT and her man. Now, the most messed up thing about it, though, is that she literally sat up there and was like, well, it's out now because my aunt found out about it. And I'm just like, your aunt was never on this show, sweetheart. You telling the world that TT is having some problems with her man? I'm not letting you slide with that. Because you and your mom brought your aunt on this show just so that she can spill the beans and y'all can act like this was new information to y'all, even though you sat there on your mother's bed and y'all discussed how y'all already knew this, but y'all the ones who brought it to TV. How is it already out there? That could have stayed between the family. You did not have to tell Savannah any of this information that Sean was over here cheating on TT, according to you and your family. And now you have Savannah, who's probably going to spread this amongst the group of the cast. And the thing about it is that Savannah is under the impression that TT does not know that Sean has cheated on her. Like, Egypt is really messing this up to be spreading gossip, because I feel like now this is going to have whoever talks to TT, which is probably going to be Vanessa, when she comes at TT, she's going to be like, well, we've heard that Sean may have been cheating on you, and this is coming from your family. And it's like, if it's true, and y'all already know that, considering Peppa said that TT had already come to her about him cheating, why are y'all making it seem like she's being blindsided by this? Like, she doesn't know that he's sneaking around in Jamaica. Like, come on. Then for us to wrap that scene up with Sam talking about some, who is TT? Now, this is the second or third time he said, who is TT? Oh, Egypt's cousin, Peppa's niece. And I'm just like, who is Sam? Hell, who is Egypt? Like, nobody cares that she is Peppa's daughter, and we damn sure don't care that she's Tretch's daughter. Like, let's just be honest here. All right, let's go ahead and move along to this scene with Boogie and Brianna. So first of all, Boogie is in the car. He is having a conversation with his business partner about how, he feels like Brianna needs an intervention. She's been drinking too heavy and all this stuff. And the guy is like, well, maybe she does need help. You could try to help her or whatever. I'm just like, I don't think that is what is happening. I think that she's just really pissed off at you. So he ends up calling Brianna to tell her that he's downstairs, and she's like having a glass of wine. Keep in mind, she's in the comfort of her own home, and she decided to have a glass of wine. And she's like, oh, do you want some wine as well? Just come right on up to the apartment. And he has an attitude now. I mean, Boogie had a full-on meltdown and attitude because Brianna was having a glass of wine. He's like, she literally has like a glass of wine in my face. And I'm just like, she's in the comfort of her own home. If she want to have a glass of wine, stop acting like she's just taking shots by herself in a corner at the house. Like, I don't understand why he spazzes this way. And then for him to call her back and be like, all right, I'm not coming up. Just do me a solid and just leave this situation alone. Basically saying they'll talk about it later. And she's like, no, why would we talk about this later? Like, we can talk about this now. You're already outside of my place. So at this point now, she's pissed off because she's like, I'm supposed to be cooking, and I thought that you were just going to come up to my place. Boogie is literally in the middle of the street. And I mean, baby boy is pacing in the middle of the street. He's just going off about how he's so upset And I'm just like, what is happening right now? So then Brianna, she's like, wait a second. Don't let his Uber come. She goes downstairs and she, like, goes off on him. And I think it was rightfully so, because he does act childish. He does act like a baby, especially in this situation, because you're over here throwing a temper tantrum for what? This adult woman having a glass of wine? So now what you're going to do is cut the scenes that she's going to be in? Like, that's what that was, to be honest. I think Brianna was pissed because I'm pretty sure they're probably paid per episode. So, you literally get to the front of my place and then you decide, oh, we'll have this discussion later. We're not about to film this. Dude, that's cutting into her money. Don't play with her like that. Also, what are you throwing a temper tantrum for? Now, I will say this. As much as we have all hated Dame, the things that Dame has said is the same thing that Brianna just said about Boogie. And how Boogie can throw tantrums and act like a child, but then you also want to be a man at the same time. You gotta choose which way you gonna be, baby. Alright, let's go ahead and move on. Actually, I forgot that there was a phone call between TT and her man in between this Brianna and Boogie situation. I mean, basically, they just had a conversation about her being stressed out and how, he is all the way in Jamaica and how he needs to get back to LA so that way they can talk and have a conversation. And that was pretty much that, because baby girl stressed out being a single parent in LA. So let's go ahead and move on across the road to her cousin, who is filming some type of music video. Yeah, that's all I got. I have nothing for that music video. Who knows what the song actually sounds like? Egypt, she looks great. That's all I got. Pep shows up with her synthetic wig on from the beauty supply store. And I'm just like, still ain't got your wig together, girl. And honestly, the whole point of this scene was just so that Egypt can explain to her mom that she's so grown now. And I'm just like, didn't we have this discussion like 4 seasons ago about how Egypt is grown? Bye, girl. Okay, so then we move on to this counseling session with TT and Sean. I will say they really make a nice looking couple. Of course, I'm happy that they're actually going to counseling before they start their marriage. And I think that they can possibly make this work. I feel like TT and Sean were very guarded with how much information was going to be expressed on this episode, which I completely understand. But overall, it was just like a typical counseling session. Like, they didn't say anything that was salacious or anything. So I'm like, good for them. Oh, one thing I wanted to point out, though, was how TT said that, when it comes to her family, she used to drop everything for them. And now, she's found Sean. She can trust him. And I think that is great, especially considering her family, Peppa and Egypt. Yeah, don't drop anything for them. If they call you, ignore them, because the mess that they stir up, you don't want to be no parts of that. None of it. So, TT, keep doing what you're doing. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up at the end of the show. And that was with this group meeting with Eric, because they were at his shop, JoJo, Cree, Savannah, and her fine-ass brother, Stevie Jr. I don't care what y'all say. He is a cutie. So he finally gets to meet the group after how many episodes? But I digress. So the whole point of this meeting was for Stevie Jr. to see what Savannah is spending her money on. And clearly she out here spending all types of money on weed. So now he trying to still find out where she getting this money from. But also, this is so they can talk about the showcase. So we find out that Eric is actually supposed to be finding the venue. And once he ends up finding a few, he can go ahead and show Cree, and then she can decide what place will probably be the best for the showcase. I'm like, okay, cool. Look at this teamwork making the dream work. So now we come to the topic of Egypt and if she's going to actually participate. And then Savannah has to deliver the news that, Egypt ain't moving without Sam because, they're a package deal. And I'm just like, ugh, I'm so tired of Egypt and Sam. I need for new storylines because I'm tired of talking about them. But anyways, this starts a whole conversation of JoJo saying, like, I don't care if Sam shows up. He's just not performing because that is not the talent that we're trying to showcase, which I don't even know if we could call that talent. So JoJo is basically saying, like, why wouldn't Egypt want to perform when you have all these people, and it's a good look for her, which I absolutely do agree. It is a good look for her. So once Savannah starts talking about all the stuff that Sam was saying, Cree is like, well, let me go ahead and look him up on Spotify. Y'all, he had 36 listeners? I'm just like, Sam, shut up talking about you about to do all this stuff. And Egypt, please stop saying that this man is a mogul and all this stuff, because that's what he's not. So once Savannah mentions the whole J&B comment, though, everybody falls out laughing, especially once she mentions how they don't feel like people treat them as they should be treated. And yeah, everybody is laughing at them. Eric is like, clearly that is Sam all the way, putting all this into this girl head, which he is, absolutely. And that pretty much wrapped that up because JoJo kind of went on a rant about how he's trying to help this girl, and Sam got to stop holding her back, which I absolutely agree. Oh, one more thing happened. My bad. When Savannah and Cree got outside, y'all, this right here is so messy. So Savannah is talking to Cree about how Egypt has had a lot to say about TT and how, TT's man was cheating on her. Now, here's the thing. Savannah is coming from a place that the family knows that this man is cheating on her, but TT has no idea. Even though Peppa in Egypt had that conversation on that bed saying that TT came to them and said that he was cheating. So now Savannah is like, well, what can we do about it? And I'm like, first of all, you shouldn't have even told Cree, but Cree has some sound advice. Listen, don't get too close to Egypt, because if she could do that to her cousin, she can definitely do this to you. So now Cree has it in her mind that she's going to tell Vanessa about it, and it says because Vanessa is closer to TT, maybe she should be the one that brings the information. And I'm just like, this information could have stayed in that family because we did not need to know any of this, first of all. Secondly, this is like playing a game of telephone. This shit went from Egypt's auntie to Peppa to Egypt, now to Savannah to Cree, then to Vanessa. Eventually, I guess it's going to get to TT. I'm like, this is too messy. And for them to be like, this is not Savannah's problem at all. This is not her fault either, because Egypt made it seem like now that it's out there in the atmosphere, it's like, no, girl, your aunt told y'all. That was it. Stop acting like the whole world knows this alleged drama about Sean cheating on TT. Let's not do that. So that pretty much wrapped up the episode, actually. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.